This is Bishop Craig in a cold basement in Lansing, and this is take one for the week of the 12th of December. Peace be with you. I must say I was delighted when I opened the lectionary yesterday and found that the reading for the 19th, the fourth Sunday in Advent, is Mary going to Elizabeth. The big insight for me as I've studied the readings this year is that John the Baptist, I know this, but sometimes things jump off the page. John the Baptist was the son of Zechariah, who was a priest, and his mother Elizabeth her family were priests all the way back to Aaron. So John the Baptist should have been a priest, but instead he's out in the wilderness. So I just think that is so cool that the call comes to John, not in the temple carrying on the family business, but in the wilderness. So that's been my Advent thought, that we need to look in unexpected places for the call of God. And so what we get this year is not Mary the angel kind of talking to Mary, announcing to Mary, and Mary making up her mind, but Mary acting upon what's going to happen and going to a Judean hill country to the house of Elizabeth. And the key line in the reading for me is, "Blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." And boy, that's what we all need to be about. Blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord. That is where I think we need to put our hearts and our minds and our wills, trusting that God is going to fulfill God's promises. When I presided at Messiah in Constantine on the 12th, part of the Eucharistic prayer that I used blessed God for Mary's openness to God's will. And I think we need to add for Mary believing God's will. So Advent's a good time to open ourselves to God's will and to believe that there will be a fulfillment of God's will. And I think if we do those two things, some of the thorny decision-making we need to do will be easier, because knowing that there will be a fulfillment of God's will, even if it may not be our will, can release or at least diminish our anxiety. So in my work close to home, I am working with congregations who are pretty anxious about their future, whether because their pastor has left and moved on, or because they're wondering about how much longer they can go on. And the understandable reaction is we need to fix this right away and get back to normal. And we need to pause and ask, what is God's will? And are we open to God's will? Because God's will may not be that, we get what we want, whether that's the pastor who is 29 years old and has 40 years experience and is willing to work part-time, comes to Michigan, or whether it's, some big donor is going to pull out of the blue, show up in front of the church and say, "I know you're struggling, so here's $1 million, so you don't have to change. You can keep going as you are." We'd like to think those things would happen, but they may not be God's will. God may have other things in mind, and God may have other things to worry about, which does not set well with us when we think that what we want to worry about may not be the most important thing God has to worry about. And that kind of came home to me on the news this week as I watched the pictures, the images from Mayfield, Kentucky, where the tornadoes hit. Bishop Guffian, my friend, who's the Bishop of Indiana, Kentucky, said that Mayfield's getting all the attention, but 20 miles away in a small town, it's equally as bad. That's where the ELCA church is, St. Matthew's. And the Indiana-Kentucky Synod is going to work through the St. Matthew's to distribute Synod disaster relief funds to help in that situation. We are a generous people in this Synod. We are a blessed people with resources, and we are also a good neighbor. So on your behalf, Pastor Sprang and I will be sending $5,000 from our Synod Disaster Relief Fund to help in Kentucky. So I'm hoping that by the time you watch this on the video, that check will be on the way. We will also try to make how you can give directly to the Indiana-Kentucky Synod Disaster Relief Fund available if you choose to do that. You can always send money to the Synod office, or you can decide, for Indiana, Kentucky, Kentucky tornado relief, or you can decide what I want to do is help to replenish our Synod Disaster Relief Fund, so that the next time something happens, there's money to quickly send. So those are ways you could help on that one. I'm also being asked about, I'm receiving counsel about COVID-19 and the Omicron variant. And some people are saying it would be very, very helpful if I would issue some guidance, again, with the Omicron variant. And other people are saying the last thing you need to do if you want to help our churches is issue guidance. So what I will probably end up issuing guidance, but probably not today. We all know what we need to do. I was just getting my teeth cleaned today. I don't really like going. I really don't. And I know I need to go, and I need to brush and floss. I know that I need to diet and exercise, and it's a struggle, and I need to do it. And we all know that we need to be vaccinated. We need to get our 2 shots and our booster. We need to do that. They tell us that when we're indoors, it is best if we wear masks in public places. So we should be doing that. I think it's smart still to keep some social distance, and I'm doing that when I lead worship, and I'm also not yet shaking hands. And Kathy and I are not ready to do a lot of eating with congregations yet. That's our choice. And I've said for almost 2 years now, I'm going to be the most conservative pastor in the Synod, and I'm keeping that up. We're going to places, we're in public places where we cannot assume everybody's vaccinated. And, the Omicron variant, they say the transmission rate is 4 times faster. So, and they expect more variants. So I'm still being cautious. And that's my advice to you. We are at a place now that when we have some real guidance, I will, of course, offer it. But congregations and pastors are making the best decision they think what is best for their congregation. And all I can say is you can indeed make the best decision you think needs making for your congregation, but you can't impose that on others. So if you're looking for a supply pastor who says, I will come if you wear masks, you can't say, oh no, you will come if we don't wear masks. They'll just say, well, thank you, we're not coming. And for everybody that's coming, I think, and ignoring COVID protocols, I think there are people staying away because they don't want to get sick. So there's some advice for today that you are free to embrace or you're free to ignore. So that's COVID-19 for the day. And then the third thing I guess I want to just talk about is I will be, like I say, today and tomorrow working busily with congregations. Today's Monday. And then on Wednesday through Sunday, my family and I are going to take some time to be together. And the staff and I will be moving toward Christmas. And usually the Synod gets really quiet during Christmas. That has not happened yet. So I expect we will work it out so somebody's on duty. But we may not be instantly responding as we move on toward the new year. A highlight for me tomorrow, Tuesday at 10, is we are leading a Blue Christmas service on Zoom for rostered ministers. So that we as pastors and deacons can have a chance to express our own difficulty and sadness with this season, to better prepare us to lead God's people in worship on Christmas. So this service is for rostered ministers, 10 o'clock on Tuesday. But I would invite you to take a moment on that time and pray for your pastor as a person, and the losses that they have experienced in the pandemic, the struggles that they have faced, that they might know God's grace and love and have the sustenance to continue on. So this is Bishop Craig, and this is Take One, and this is the week of the 12th of December. Continued Advent blessings, and peace be with you. Take care.